Well, hello there. It is great to see you again, and welcome back to another installment of Wealth Insights with Mitch Silberman. I'm your host and moderator, Ryan Ruff. Boy, is it good to have you back with us. We also have the star of our show, of course, Mr. Mitch Silberman of Silberman Wealth Strategies. He'll be joining me momentarily to get the conversation rolling. But first and foremost, we want to thank you for jumping aboard with us for another wealth management related discussion. And I am super excited about today's episode for a lot of reasons, but most specifically, boy, are we really peeling back the curtain in this episode. We're going to get into a specific strategy and process that Mitch and his team utilize at Silberman Wealth Strategies. It's called their 5-step personal CFO process. So we're going to get into, just first off the name, and then of course what these 5 steps look like, how it ultimately helps the clients and gives them clarity about their wealth plan. Because hey, if you've spent any of the past, episodes with us, you know that really clarity comes first with Mitch and the way he operates with his clients. They want to make sure that, it's the client goals, needs, wants, aspirations for the future. Those are all being met with a custom tailored wealth plans. And I think, at least we're going to find out here in a few moments when we dive into it, but I would believe that this 5-step, personal CFO process really lies at the core of what Mitch and his team do. So let's go ahead and welcome Mitch on, get today's conversation rolling. Mitch, good to see you. Good to have you back.
Always great to be with you and our audience, Ryan.
Hey, always a good time when we get together, Mitch, and I'm excited for today's episode. We're going to kind of be free flowing with this one today because, I specifically didn't do my research because I want to see, what it's like to be in the client's chair and have this 5-step CFO process, explained to me. So, Mitch, start us off with a high level overview before we get it really into the 5 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it along the line that you thought to yourself, this is this process that we need to take there is a need that we need to address with our clients and a process we need to take them through. Talk to me about the origin of this idea and this process that you and your team operate with.
This is something that I think is pretty unique. I've not come across it amongst other financial advisors, and it really resonates with us and the people we work with. And the concept is this. I work with a lot of business owners. And if you think about it, if you're the business owner, you're the CEO. And if the business continues to grow and expand, at some point, you're going to have to hire a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Now, you're still the boss. You're still the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, but now you've delegated a Chief Financial Officer who reports back to you. So what we came up with is this 5-step personal CFO process because you're the CEO of your money. This is your money. This is your wealth. Our clients hire us as their personal CFO. And we kind of act as their eyes and ears in the marketplace to keep an eye on what's going on out there. And we report back to you. In fact, another analogy I would kind of give you is this. I just use sports. Whatever city you're in, maybe there's a sports team that you root for that you love. So there's the owner of the team, and the owner hires a general manager. And general manager hires the coach, and coach picks the players. That's kind of the way it works for the most part. So in my business model, you're the owner. It's your money. My clients hire us as their wealth manager, their wealth strategist. We then find different institutions of expertise in certain areas, and we kind of put that together as part of the portfolio. Then those institutions pick individual holdings or real estate or whatever it may be. So my job is to hire, monitor, if necessary, fire different financial institutions on behalf of the client, and of course, always report back to you.
Well, I love the high level overview on this process because that makes sense, especially using the sports analogy to kind of define it a little bit, Mitch. So take me into it really. When you're sitting down, maybe it's with a new client and this is the first time that you're explaining this process to them. Start me off with step 1. What does
Sure.
that look like?
Well, we call it our discovery meeting. And again, it's all about you. It's not about me. You're not going to walk in and I'm going to say, let me tell you about the greatest investments in the world. No, 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 no. This is about you. We want to discover what's important to you, to your family. How do you want to live an amazing life of significance? What are some of your goals? What keeps you up at night? What do you worry about? What has happened in your past that would help me design a better financial roadmap for you? So it's a discovery meeting, just like you come into my office or now on the screen to interview me. I'm also interviewing you to see if there's a good fit. If there's not a good fit, my goal is to create value for you, whether or not we work together. I truly am blessed. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. And it's not always a good fit. But if it's not a good fit, I want to kind of lead you in the right direction. So the discovery meeting is you, your goals, your dreams, and what can we do to help you achieve it along everything that's important to you.
Mitch, in prior episodes, we've talked about what that meeting looks like from the perspective of the human element, and boy, is
Yes.
that ever so important in what you and your team do at Silberman Wealth Strategies. So, before we move on to further steps, let's reiterate that maybe for anybody that wasn't able to join us for that
Mhm.
conversation surrounding the human element and how it really plays a role within wealth management. Talk to me about this idea of the human element within that discovery meeting and those initial conversations.
Sure. We have a very client centric practice. It's really all about you and the client, and there has to we have to get along well. They have to. There's an old saying: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And whether it's a physician or an attorney or a wealth manager, you may say, "Hey, this person's competent, but I don't think they care about me. They didn't look me in the eye. They only talked to one spouse and not the other. They were busy selling how great they were." So it's not a matter of competency. It's, do they care about me? Do I want to be with this person? Do I want to, share all my financial information and insecurities with this individual? There's got to be that connection. You have to know you are entrusting someone with your wealth. And there's got that human element is really everything.
Yeah, Mitch, we talked about this idea of that dual lens approach, from a wealth management perspective. Sure, you want to be good on paper, but also
Mhm.
the intent needs to be there as well. Those that ability to truly connect with the client, so important. So, okay, 5-step CFO process. Step 1, discovery meeting.
Right.
You've had the meeting, you've connected with the client, you understand their goals. Let's say it's a fit. The right fit is there.
Mhm.
Take me into step 2.
Sure. And by the way, I decided a long time ago not to charge someone to see if I can help them. I mean, I kind of joke and say, Ryan, we're not a good fit, but here's my bill. So the discovery meeting, the way I run it is just, it's complimentary. It's what I love to do. And I always try to create value, whether or not we work together. So if there's a step 2, we call that the wealth strategy planning meeting. And essentially, based on everything that you have shared with me, I come up with a written plan and investments to help you achieve that plan. So at that step 2, at the wealth strategy planning meeting, essentially what I'm saying is, if I were you, this is what I would do. And we cover things like, do you have enough money? Will you run out? Um, we talked on a previous episode about life insurance. Is life insurance needed at all to protect your loved ones or your assets, or to help pay estate taxes or provide for causes you care about? Are your current investments helping you achieve all that you need? We really analyze everything, go over the plan, and then talk about specific investments to help you achieve your plan.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a pretty action-packed meeting there, going through their entire portfolio, offering, what you would do in their circumstances. I would imagine that meeting, Mitch, probably stems a handful of different conversations then from their side. Maybe even some things come out that maybe necessarily didn't come out in the discovery process. Talk to me about this meeting and really what it, do you find that the clients really enjoy this part of the process and going through the X's and O's of the plan?
They do. It's a very educational meeting more than anything else. And I'm going to divert just a little bit. We've employed for quite some time what we call the endowment style of investing. And most people say, what does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. All it means is this: early on in my career, I learned that ultra wealthy individuals and institutions invest very differently than people do. In other words, one end of the spectrum is you don't have much money, but you're investing. The other end of the spectrum are pensions, insurance companies, sovereign wealth funds, high net worth individuals. They invest very differently, and not shocking, they get better results. So I thought, well, what do they do? What do they do differently? If it's good enough for them, wasn't it good enough for my clients? So this meeting is a lot of education, because it's not just, hey, I got some good stocks and bonds. It's really, we're going to do this to hedge your risk. We're going to diversify outside of the stock market. We're going to put some of your investments in things that are illiquid and won't move with the market. And so it's a very educational with a lot of interaction. I always want to check in to make sure they understand what's going on. The goal is never to say, hey, I know what I'm doing, let's just do this. It's, no, do you understand what I'm recommending that you consider doing with your money? And if they don't, I'll take all day to explain it because I love talking about these things. And I always get excited that I have access to strategies and offerings that typically individual investors don't know about and don't have access to.
So then, Mitch, in that instance, after you're going through this plan, offering some of these suggestions, is a decision reached right then and there during that meeting? Take me through how that meeting ends.
I am so glad you asked that because no, what I've learned is that what we go through at discovery and then step two, the strategy planning meeting, that is very important, but not urgent. There is no reason to say, did you like what you heard? Sign here. There's too many zeros and commas involved, too many dreams involved. So the goal is to walk through the plan, explain through the investments, and then have them think about it because it's a lot to take in. And it's a big decision on their part. For them, like, do we trust this person, this team to help us achieve all that's important to us? For me, I relish being the safe money guy. I love it. I love doing those things. So what we say is like, hey, look, we went over a lot. This is what I would do if I was in your shoes. These are my best recommendations. And as I've said in a prior show, do you want to work with it? If you're lost in a forest, do you want someone to say, here's a map and a compass, good luck? Or do you want a trusted advisor to say, take my hand, we're going through this together? So what I say at the end of the second meeting is, I want you to think about this. I want you to review what we talked about, and then let's get together again in 7 to 10 business days. Why? Because if it's tomorrow, it's too soon. If it's 2 months from now, it just is like, can we start over? I don't kind of remember everything we talked about. 7 to 10 days is really ideal when it's still in your mind. You had a time to jot down some questions and it's still fresh. And that's when we get to step 3.
I love that. And so take us there. Take us into step 3.
Sure.
Let's say your clients come back. They've had those 7 to 10 days to think about it. Maybe some new questions have arisen.
Mhm.
Talk me through step 3.
Sure.
What is it?
So we call step 3 either the implementation meeting or the mutual commitment meeting, because that's where we are mutually agreeing to work together. And so we start that meeting with any questions you have. I know we went over a lot. Is there anything you would like me to review? And typically there is, and I welcome that. The more questions you ask, the better. The more informed you are, the better this relationship will be. So we typically start off with a review, answering questions, walking through everything. And at that point, we are agreeing to work together. So at that point, what I do is I get my client, my staff involved, and they say, okay, just so you know, my staff is going to, now we do electronically or in person. We start autographing documents, right? If you've ever moved money around or taken out a mortgage or opened an account, there's a lot of things to sign. So that's why I have team members around. This is what they're good at. So step 3 is a mutual commitment. We agree to work together. And that's when we have what we call a signing party where documents get authorized.
So we go through the signing party. A lot of autographs are being, thrown out there. Where does step 4 come into play, and what does step 4 really entail? Because here we are, the plan of attack is in motion. What comes next?
Well, typically, just to back up, Ryan, the step 3 meeting typically ends with me saying to them, congratulations, because they've taken a very important step towards achieving what's important to them and their family going forward. And well, prior to March of 2020, those meetings would typically end with a hug, because in my practice, there's typically more handshakes than hugs, and that's the way that I like it. So step 4 is, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we have authorized the documents, or we're about to. Money is going to be moved around. So you're going to get inundated with emails and paperwork from the old company. And we want to do this as seamlessly as possible, but it does take time to move money around. And so step 4 is kind of, we call an organizational meeting. We get together typically 45 days later. And at that time, everything should have moved. And we review where everything is. I have a very safe, secure online portal where my clients can access everything they have with me and even outside of me online 24/7. So I kind of walk them through that. My staff and I walk them through how they can access that portal. And we want to make sure the amounts transferred were done correctly. And listen, we're in a post-Madoff world still. So it's always good to get confirmation that the money met from where it was supposed to go to where it should be. You always want to see that proof. Don't take anyone's word for it. So step 4 is really the organizational meeting to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, and on an online portal. And now we're good to go.
And Mitch, boy, is that ever so important. I mean, we've talked in past episodes, just about the importance of ongoing and regular routine maintenance of a wealth plan. Circumstances change. Look at the last year and a half we've all experienced. No one saw that coming. So
Right.
you've got to make sure that your plan stays up to date, stays current, and that you're able to review over a period of time. So here we are. Implementation has begun 45 days after. We're already circling back to look at
Yep.
the progress and track the motion that's happened. Okay, let's say we've got great things to report here in step 4. Where does that fifth and final step come into play, and what goes on with that, Mitch?
It's like you're a mind reader. So step 5 is what we call regular progress review meetings. With our high net worth clients that we work with, typically we like to meet quarterly. And so what I've heard over the years, Ryan, is do you have a financial advisor? Yeah. Do you like them? Her? Yeah. How often do you hear from them? No, once a year they send me an email, and it's like, okay. We do the opposite. We want to proactively reach out to you. We're going to be your favorite nudges. We're going to go out and we put it on the calendar. We ask, do you want to meet 3 times a year or 4 times a year? So that's up to the client. So my staff knows we're going to reach out to you like clockwork and say it's time to have a regular progress review meeting for exactly the things that you said, Ryan. Life changes, circumstances change, investments need to be monitored. So we want to stay ahead of it as much as possible, find out what's going on in you and your life and what's going on with your investments. Do we need to make changes? Because things have to be monitored always. You can't, the days of set and forget are gone.
So, and Mitch, I would imagine during some of those, those regular progress review meetings, there are probably some conversations that arise where you say, "Hey, we were looking at this plan and we need to shift it because
Uh-huh.
circumstances have changed and we need to." So there's, I would imagine, a lot of collaboration that goes into some of those meetings when things need to change, and there's a matter of a conversation that needs to be had. Do you find that these routine progress meetings are enjoyed by the clients, and gives them kind of a sense of satisfaction to know that, hey, we're making the right decisions because we're reviewing regularly?
Yes, I think they're invaluable. I'm only smirking because I have one client. It was so sweet. We were reaching out every 3 months to meet with them, and they were very successful. And they literally wrote to me in an email, do we have to meet every 3 months? And it was so cute. I said, no, we don't have to, but we want you to know we're thinking about you. We're ready to meet. We want to be ahead of the curve. So we don't require anyone to meet with us 3 times a year or 4 times a year, but the clients love it. The feedback I get is, Mitch, I feel like I can live my life now. There's a burden's off my shoulder. You and your team are really looking out. You're reaching out to me. You're sending me emails in between. We're staying on top of things, and I can go live my life. And that means the world to me. I love hearing things like that because that's the feedback that we aspire to do for them.
Well, I love that, Mitch. Let's have you kind of bottom line it really for our audience one final time. Give us those 5 steps in a nutshell, what somebody can expect when working with Silberman Wealth Strategies and going through that 5-step CFO process.
Sure. And it's not just what to expect with us, it's also to ask of your current wealth advisor. I have found that the very best clients we have had over the years came from they already had a relationship. And they weren't necessarily dissatisfied, but when they saw our 5-step process and the style of investing that we have access to, they said, gee, I've been with my person for 20 years. They never talk about these things. They never do these things. Step 1, a discovery meeting. What's important to you? How do you want to live an amazing life of significance? It's all about you. Step 2, your goals, your dreams, your plans. Step 2, based on what you shared in the discovery meeting, this is your customized financial roadmap. These are the investments that will best help you achieve all that's important to you. Step 3 is the review meeting where we get together and say, is this the right plan? Do you have any questions? What we call the mutual commitment meeting. And if so, we begin working together. Step 4 is an organizational meeting, typically 45 days out. We make sure everything moved from where it was to where it's supposed to be and give you access to the online wealth portal so you can see your investments at all times. And step 5, we set up regular progress review meetings, typically 3 to 4 times per year, to make sure that you're on track to achieving all that's important to you, and also taking care of what's going on in your life and the outside world, and making sure that we're doing all we can to help you live that amazing life of significance.
Mitch, if this process is really resonating with some members in our audience today, maybe they're thinking about their current relationship with their wealth manager and whether or not they follow a similar circumstance, or maybe it's just somebody who doesn't even have a wealth manager to begin with, and this sounds like what they need. How should they best go about maybe reaching out to you and your team to start that conversation and maybe get that discovery meeting, step one of this process, scheduled and on the books?
Well, Ryan, I'm blessed. I love what I do. One of the reasons I was put on this earth is to do precisely what I'm doing now for the limited number of families that we work with. Easiest way is to go to our website, www.silbermanwealth.com. That's B as in billion. And have a look at what we do, our 5-step process we just talked about, and set up a complimentary discovery meeting to get that second opinion and make sure that you're on track to achieving all that's most important to you and your family.
Well, Mitch, I so appreciate you carving some time out of your day to jump on with us, go through your personal CFO process, because yes, there's a lot of great things happening within that process, from the start of a relationship, to routine ongoing maintenance to ensure the proper plan is in motion over time. I love every step of that process, and I appreciate you kind of peeling back that curtain, giving us a look inside. And I would imagine, that process is found to be beneficial from so many of your clients that you work with. So that being said, appreciate you and your time, and thanks for jumping aboard with us today.
Truly my pleasure, Ryan. Thank you.
Alrighty, look, and hey, we want to take one final moment, as always, to thank you guys, our audience, for jumping aboard with us on today's episode. If you liked what you saw, you benefited from the conversation in any way, do us a favor, like the show, comment on it, subscribe to it on whichever platform you're checking us out on, and then, as always, share this information, right, with friends and family, business owners, anybody that you think would benefit from these conversations, because they're meant for you. These are the strategies to help you pursue that amazing life of significance, and luckily, we've got Mitch to help share some of those wealth insights that he brings to the table every day at Silberman Wealth Strategies to kind of share with you and yours to consider as maybe part of your own wealth plan moving forward. So for Mitch Silberman, I'm Ryan Ruff. We're saying so long, and we thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Wealth Insights.